Welcome to my channel, Capricorn. Happy solar returns. If you have a Capricorn sun, rising or moon, then this is a general reading, but it might well resonate for you. This is the January 2021 soul story, and I encourage you to check back in throughout the month and see how the energies continue to unfold in terms of their resonance and relevance for you. So we are opening up your reading with the energy of the Six of Swords, and it certainly has been a rite of passage for you as you went through your Saturn returns, and I think it's important that you still give yourself time through this first month of the year to rest and reflect and really continue that deep exhale as you come to terms with what the journey meant to you on a very deep personal level. Now, the Six of Swords is indicating the fact that we are journeying into an energy that is set to feel lighter for you. You have brought with you so much of that experience and wisdom in terms of what you've been through. And part of the realization of that is really now the discovery of what the roots to happiness look and feel like for you, Capricorn. Because you've changed irrevocably, your life has no doubt changed. And sometimes, it takes that moment to kind of recalibrate and to figure out what some of the new energies feel like. And, perhaps there'll be an acceptance, a deep acceptance that some things that you were fighting or resisting actually are things now that feel more favourable and in alignment to you than they ever have. And at the same time, there may be things that you understand now are a complete non-negotiable and part of your life that you realise that you actually can't be without. And so this journeying continues all the way through the month. You are supported though, we can see these orcas that come in like this beautiful pod, the sense of a soul family. They really take care of one another. And so you're not in this journey alone. And through this month of January, even if there are times where you feel exceptionally on the outside or kind of really disconnected, then what we need to understand is that, we are in a state of motion. We are moving towards something. In fact, we can even see the landmass here and these beautiful mountainous ranges, very reflective of your own Capricorn energy. So what we know is that you're traveling and making your way towards something that feels like home. There is a sense of so much more potential coming to light through this month of January. And as you navigate your way through, and actually from a place that feels quite peaceful, because I look at you in this canoe boat and you're wrapped up and you're very protected. So there is something about, even though there is some craziness, there's some optics out there that make you feel that things are being cut off or suppressed or shut down. There's something around this understanding that you're still in this place of deep exhale and that you are going to feel a sense of peace almost, even as you traverse through what could be some energies that bump up against you and feel quite wild and quite chaotic. So at the beginning of January, which is going to be a really favourable time for you, Capricorn, Mars moves into Taurus, a fellow earth sign, far more harmonious than the square that Mars and Aries made to you. We then have Venus moving into your sign on the 8th of January at the same time as Mercury moves into Aquarius, allowing us to feel freer with the way in which we communicate, but also to come at it from a level of commitment and the observation of what it's going to take to bring about meaningful change and being prepared to nourish that. And really, as we make our way towards the new moon in your sign on January 13th, which just precedes Uranus moving direct in Taurus, there is this sense of you kind of feeling like you're coming to terms with something, and there's a new emerging energy that you're still kind of getting to grips with. Remember, as we sort of had all of the beautiful upgrades through the month of December, we're still figuring that out, and it might not land straight away for you. You might not feel too different straight away. You have to allow some of this to unfold naturally and organically for you. But certainly as we come into that mid part of the month, I think you are making some really interesting new plans for yourself. And as I said, this really strong understanding of what the new routes to happiness look and feel like for you are going to help you temper any sense of impatience or any kind of outside influence that feels more disruptive or upheaval your energy in different ways. Now, it's going to be important that we look at the context of things through the month of January, Capricorn, okay? So Three of Cups coming in, wanting to celebrate, again, wanting to show you that you're not alone. You have people who are resonating and understanding what you feel and have gone through similar. And there's a need and a desire to want to find them, to seek them out. And perhaps that's what you're journeying towards. You're coming into a time that you are going to be able to celebrate with others this extraordinary journey, or the ideas and the inspirations and the new energy that you now want to bring forth. So there's something really beautiful and progressive and coming into bloom with that. But what I mean about this context being really important is that if we take some of the isolated conversations or isolated incidents that are going to happen through the month of January, and we looked at them in a certain way, it could really cause a disruption to our energy field and our way of thinking. And so it's going to be exceptionally important that you give yourself permission, and maybe it is by taking a bit of a step back or putting a little bit of distance in between you and a person, you and a situation, you and an energy, to really understand the bigger picture, the broader context of something. And that's going to help you come at things from a much more grounded energy. The reason this is so important, Capricorn, is that toward the end of January, we have Jupiter making a square to Uranus. It's the only time it's going to happen in 2021. And, we have Jupiter, this planet of magnification, expansion, growth, with Uranus that brings this rebellious need for freedom, need to shock, need to surprise, need to change, this maverick. And so the energy is going to get whipped up into a bit of a frenzy. It's going to feel very anxious, very restless. Now, what can come from that is something exceptional. It might be the deliverance of an amazing turn of events that really starts to lead you in a different direction, or brings something to your door by way of abundance, opportunity, realization, and it can be exceptionally positive. However, there is also this aspect of it being very extreme, very extravagant, and kind of crazy. So you might find yourself being led very impulsively, quite rashly, toward a particular conclusion, to make a decision, to take an action that, could see you wanting to wipe the slate or clear something out or get rid of something or end something or change something, or go after something that you later think, wow, I kind of went a little too far there. Now, there are no mistakes. At the end of the day, we experience things in our life on our soul journey, and everything has something to teach us. However, being aware ahead of time that energy is coming in might just give you the opportunity to leave a lifeline to yourself, to something that isn't quite ready, or you're not actually quite ready to let go of, or that, in some instances is meant to be a part of your journey and is just going to come around in a new shape or form. And before you decide that it needs to get terminated or cleared out completely, I think just be aware that that's some of the influences that are coming through. Now, we've got the energy of strength coming in here, and I think it's strength through numbers here. It feels important, even though the journeys that we take are deeply personal, and sometimes we really have to go alone to figure things out and to go through our own experiences and come to our own realizations. It's then when we get to come back together in that moment of unity, how we collaborate, how we form connection and friendships, that we get to share those stories, and that they become even more meaningful to us and to the others, to the others around us and to the collective at large. So there's something about, the strength, the resiliency, the courage, the bravery of what you've endured, what you're going through, and the way in which you're going to bring that to bear by way of helping others, by way of sharing experience, and even of just bringing about more meaningful change in your own life. And that's really important. Now we have this really strong, beautiful star filled sky with the crescent moon going on here. And sometimes it's through those evenings, when we can feel like we're more alone, or we can have our fears kind of activated. And remember what I said, there's a lot of anxiety and anxious energy that's building and coming through. And sometimes we have to understand that it's not always our burden that we're carrying or our energy that we're feeling. But even the global comes down to a very personal through this month of January, and the way in which we navigate some of those clashes and some of the big astrological events, you know, are by giving ourselves the opportunity to remind ourselves what we've already been through and how we've already endured and changed and overcome so much. Now, the Nine of Pentacles coming through for you, I think, is a beautiful indication that we know what we're working towards. Yeah, we know what the utopia, the nirvana, the kind of, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, or this is the big vision that I have for myself. And yet there's a path to get to this point. But right now she's deeply content in the present moment. In fact, she's holding this beautiful bird peacefully and reflecting upon something really poignantly. And I think that there needs to be this realization, Capricorn, that, you know, as you start to feel your way into the new energy and what it means to you and what the journey meant to you, that you give yourself praise and understand that actually where you stand right now is perfectly okay, and that even circumstances out with your control do not dictate to the realization or the manifestation of some of the things that you really want to achieve for yourself. Now, this beautiful black puma tiger-like cat here, almost standing very protectively in front of what you have achieved for yourself, what you have invested in, and how it's borne fruit for you. Now, that might just be your state of peace. That might be your energy that's been lifted. That might mean something that you've done from a success, a financial perspective, or, you know, your family or your relationship. It's like whatever it is that you need to cultivate, to tend to in the very present moment and feel protected. Remember the sense of protection. That's coming in really powerfully through this month of January for you. But I think there's also this recognition of the resiliency, you know, that you have shown and demonstrated. And it's that self-reliance that is going to bear fruit for you and really deliver so much of what it is that you're seeking. Now, it's not a surprise to me that we have the energy of the Seven of Cups coming through, because I think the churn that comes up through that second part of January could feel so kind of frenzy and chaotic, and we could see people acting in really obscure, kind of crazy ways through that end of January, making decisions and choices that you feel quite blindsided by in a way, and yet again you're being reminded to kind of cultivate your own sacred space here. But what it's also doing is it's unlocking people's imagination. And that beautiful square can also deliver the most progressive, extraordinary moments of brilliance. And I think that where you are coming into harmony with other people that are resonating with you, but perhaps have something slightly different to bring to the table, what comes for that is something really extraordinary. And so you may find that there are relationships, partnerships, new connections, friendships that are forming out of difficult, conflicted circumstances, but actually what's coming is very progressive solutions. And that's really like the numerology of 2021 anyway. It's a number 5 year, and it is about this invigorated sense of drive and determination, but coming through challenge, conflict and strife that helps us create something that's never been before. So this influence of the Seven of Cups delivers choices. Now, choices can feel overwhelming if we're not clear about what our routes to happiness look and feel like. That's why in the first part of January, you really want to take some time to reflect and to consider that. And also, like we said, look at the context of things, because if you're not really clear on that, then when all of these choices come in, you might end up making ones that are not necessarily for your highest good, okay? Because they might just look and feel like the quickest, fastest escape route out of something. So that's just a little bit of a heads up energy, but certainly from an imagination and a creativity perspective, I'm really loving the inspiration that's coming through here. Now, we also need to remember that Mercury is moving retrograde at the end of January on the 30th in the sign of Aquarius. And so from about the 15th, we're going to be dealing with its shadow, which means particularly, you know, when you're looking at things from a kind of technology perspective, but of course all forms of communication, there might be a little bit of haze and confusion that's coming in at that point as well. But here we have the Queen of Pentacles, which is reflective of your archetypal energy, Capricorn. So I love that that's showing up for you here, because it's bringing in this beautiful sense of you being resourceful and you being able to adapt. So not only do you have the strength and the resiliency, what you're doing is you're taking any sense of overwhelm or, that kind of chaotic energy that surrounds you, and you're actually making something really meaningful and valuable from it for you. So you're kind of really working at quite an alchemical way, but doing it in your own beautifully practical, earthy, Capricorn, focused, visionary sense of self. It's really extraordinarily beautiful. I think that this is very, very important to reflect that from a getting things done kind of a vibe. There is no better time, again, than that first part of January to really sort of start to put things in order in your mind. And it might not necessarily translate into all of like the physical actions of it, but I see you being able to kind of get some structure in order and sort of compartmentalizing different areas of your life, so that you know, as you sort of look ahead over the next 12 months, broadly speaking, here are some of the things that I really want to invest in for myself, and I want to see meaningful change and progress. And it just feels important to kind of lock that down in your energy field very early on in January around that new moon. So you're setting that seed really powerfully, so that when we work towards your full moon coming in later in the year, you're going to see so much of that coming to fruition in a really beautiful way. And there may be another earth sign that you are dealing with. And if that is the case, then perhaps there's a little bit of uncertainty or mixed messages that may well be coming through. I do think that overall I see a shared sense of vision. It's just that how you're coming at things might feel vastly different. And, it's really down to the way in which we've experienced things very differently through the course of 2020, and people have had vastly different experiences, and that rite of passage that you've felt has shaped and carved things within you that, has led you to come to some very powerful new conclusions. Now, the Three of Swords is about that moment of clarity and truth hitting really hard for you. And that can sometimes feel quite sobering. Now, I don't want you to feel fearful of it. All I want you to understand is that in this moment in time, the realization of where you find yourself, or of what you've come to understand about yourself or your life, or what's important to you, what you feel can make you happy, may well lead to the realization of what needs to change or to break or to be released. And so for me, that Three of Swords is coming through to kind of crack open something that is ready to be shown to you in, yes, what might feel like quite a sensitive, vulnerable way, but actually is coming by way of tremendous strength and fortitude. It's also giving you the opportunity through this month of January, like we said, to continue the exhale. And as you continue the exhale, then there's a release that needs to happen there, which might mean that there are some tears. It might mean that there are some meltdowns that happen just by way of frustration, just by way of impatience, just by way of the sheer overwhelm of what you're now feeling into energetically, still releasing and still trying to navigate. So you got to be like super easy on yourself, Capricorn, if this hits, and if it hits hard through the month of January, because really what it's going to do is, as soon as you have that moment of release, it's going to bring a very cathartic feeling of peace at the back of it. And I want you to keep that in mind, okay? But that sobering quality is also really significant, because it could lead to those all-important realizations that are going to define what comes next for you. Yeah. So the Hanged One, of course, I think many of you may be feeling the hangover, I guess, of the restrictions that surround. And yet, instead of feeling like you are being stopped, use it as an invitation to redirect and reflect, and to figure out what the conversation now looks and feels like for you. Yes, it would be very easy to tune in to a certain energy source and to see a view of the world in one specific way, but you've come too far and you know too much So I know anyone who's watching and tuned into this is understanding that sometimes we have to go through extraordinary difficult times of energy to get to something greater, to get to something better. And that means that we all have to, in some instances, make that sacrifice of our energy so that we can give the universe time to reorientate itself and come back into a place of balance and harmony for us. And in that time, we need to do on our own, each individual journey, the things necessary in order that we can come into alignment with it when things restore and rebalance themselves. And I think you're really coming into that awareness very powerfully through the month of January, so that you're not fighting things. I also think the Hanged One, you'll be really, in some ways, welcoming of, as you see some of the extreme energies and the kind of crazy decisions and choices that some people are set to make, and you can kind of allow yourself to stand on the periphery and feel slightly energetically held back from maybe not rushing in or being too impulsive yourself. You know, I think in reflection you'll be really pleased that actually you had that kind of deeper intuitive knowing of not quite yet, or let's just leave myself a bridge or a lifeline here to something. There is a beautiful sense of feeling quite triumphant and victorious in relation to something, and I again think it feels like perhaps where you've had to make a sacrifice, or you've had to, you know, look at something in a completely new approach, but it is going to come good for you. It's going to figure itself out for you, and I want you to also take that lovingly from your guides, because I feel like it's going to bring you an awful lot of peace of mind for something that you felt really worried or anxious or stressed around, okay? So High Priestess, just coming in with that beautiful sense of knowing and wisdom. And you know, you're working with a lot of Neptunian energy through this month of January, which again is unlocking something. And the High Priestess is really like the key to help you unlock that. You're going to be going into, you know, parts of your subconscious and rewiring and changing and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to move into the new frequency and figure out what that means for you. I also have a sense, Capricorn, that you may be in a position where you are holding information, okay? Perhaps you've been given information pertinent to people that you know, that you work with, that you care about, and you're not able to share it or to express it or to reveal it quite yet. Sometimes that can feel a bit of a burden. If that is a situation that some of you find yourself in through this course of January, understand that Spirit are only doing this to in some ways help protect you, because I have this deep sense of protection coming in. So try to really listen into your own wise counsel. And again, I feel something about you being on the periphery or observing things from the outside in. So there may be some quite major sort of changes and shifts that are going to be happening closer to home, or that you're looking at, and that they don't really want you to have to go into the eye of the storm with it, so to speak. But I feel that you are being guided powerfully by your own intuition through this month. You have not got it wrong. Sometimes things are delayed and held back for a whole variety of reasons. Sometimes it's because we need to learn something, or we need to come into a closer place of understanding. Other times it's because other people need to catch up with us, or something needs to shift or change in their timeline, okay? So this knowing of the divine timing and how something needs to play out is going to give you peace of mind that you are exactly where you need to be right now. In fact, you've been journeying towards this exact moment for some time now, okay? It might not all reveal itself fully through the month of January, but there's something about you getting a really clear validation or message or sign coming in by the end of the month that says, yes, what you did or the approach that you took was necessary in order to get you to this exact moment, okay? So let's take a look and see how these oracle cards are just reflecting your main reading. Okay, we have caring connection come in, and I think it really just echoes what we talked about by way of you making your way towards situations where you're able to find more meaningful connections to share what you have been through, to share the stories, to share the ideas, and to really feel like you are coming home or coming into an energy that's much more resonant, of something that helps you to thrive, helps you to deliver the positive aspects of everything that you have to share at this moment moment in time, you know. For some of you, I think you are looking to those that really strengthen you, you know. This is Strength card coming in. And again, making perhaps important decisions about releasing or letting go some of those more difficult, toxic, heavier, denser people that aren't really going to be supportive of where you're trying to get to or how you're trying to realize and manifest what's really important to you, you know. What is your route to happiness? That's what I'm going to go back to again. The connections want to show up to help deliver that for you. Oh, beautiful. Miracles. Quite like this card. It feels very Capricorn-like, with this kind of mountainous range and then double rainbow coming through here. And I think, you know, just in terms of what I talked about with this Jupiter square Uranus, it does have the opportunity to absolutely deliver those miracles, you know. It's one of those bolt out of the blue, kind of everything shifts, everything turns on a dime, extraordinary set of events that could lead to, you know, something that completely changes your life. So how do you view what a miracle is? Like, do you believe that they can show up for you? Like, what is your relationship to that word? Can you sit with that and kind of, does it feel like completely alien and that never happens to me? Or do you feel that with every cell in your body? What is your body telling you when you look at the idea of what a miracle means and how it could show up for you? I just invite you to play with the possibility of that a little bit through this month of January, Capricorn. Okay, let's take a look at your Moonology card here. Work through your fears. New moon in Scorpio. Beautiful. You know, I think that the energy of January is still very unclear in many ways. You know, we have a sense of relief having come out of 2020. We have a sense of uncertainty of, is this going to be another year of more of the same? We have this newfound kind of burden having been lifted as you know, emerge out of your Saturn returns, and you know, there's a lot to kind of navigate with. But as you take them on one by one, and as you realize that you're not alone, and you realize the importance of what you've been through and how you're meant to share and to express that, I think that you're going to have a greater depth and a greater opportunity to invite those miracles and the type of energies and the type of things that you want to realize for yourself to come in. So this is a general reading, Capricorn, and thank you so much for tuning in. If you'd like to join me for the extended, we're going to go ahead and talk for another 20 minutes or so and just go into this reading in a bit more detail. You'll find the link for that in the description box underneath. And I'm just going to go ahead and clarify that for us now. I'm also just going to invite you to think about a question that might not have been answered in this main general reading, and I'm going to pull just a couple of cards for that just now, and we will also cover that off in the extended. So let's pop those down for you just now. Okay, so just clarifying this first card, Six of Swords, and we have Three of Pentacles coming in here. And the energy of Temperance, Four of Cups, nice Ten of Pentacles coming in here with the Three of Cups. Real sense of family coming in here, but it feels like soul family, you know, those people that make you feel safe and secure and part of something. Energy of Scorpio is coming in a couple of times in your reading, so that might be relevant for you. Here we've got the King of Pentacles, so we've got the King and the Queen here showing up in your January reading, which I like for you, Capricorn. Nice sense of stability. High Priestess again. King of Swords here, Aquarian energy, Gemini or Libra. So a few more court cards starting to show up here. Influence of people in the event. So we'll take into account what they're showing up for when we look at the extended reading. So we've got Queen of Wands here coming through, and Pisces energy with the Moon. we talked about this idea of roots to happiness, you know, and Three of Swords and the Ten of Cups, I just think are deeply symbolic of that conversation you're having with yourself, you know. Beautiful sense of perseverance and new opportunities coming in following the moment of the Hanged Man. Beautiful energy of the Fool coming in with your Miracle card there. And just finally, okay, Four of Wands. Beautiful. Capricorn, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful month of January and happy solar returns. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like and comment if the readings have resonated for you. I appreciate you so much. Take care. Bye.